Hey guys, what's up? Itchla coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides Witchla. And I don't know, I'm kind of fed up with people. I've really had so much patience, but I've just noticed during my life a lot of the people that I'm around don't really appreciate a lot of the things that I do or the patience that I have. And a lot of times in arguments it's always the same kind of thing. And this is not even anyone in particular. This is just, I guess, what I've noticed about humans. And it's taken me to be this old to really realize, because again, when I was younger, I guess I was also more immature myself, so that could have been a reason for it. And even now, there's still a lot of ways I don't handle things perfectly, but I'm just noticing people have serious issues, and I don't know if it's a modern thing or if this has always been how humans are or what it is really. I have a hard time rationalizing it, but I'm realizing I really am just that much better at comprehending an argument and seeing a bigger picture and whatnot, because the amount of times somebody has argued with me about something and the whole thing they're saying just doesn't make any sense at all, and I have to deal with that and contend with that. You know, I can't just ignore it because it's a person I care about. I have to deal with it, but the other person is being ignorant or selfish, and I can't tell which it is. I can't tell whether it's ignorance or selfishness. And I've noticed this with so many people. I just the amount of ego that some people have, I don't know if I can even comprehend it. Because the way I usually look at situations, I think, is just so starkly different to how most humans even interpret things or something. I obviously care about being right in the sense of I really want to vet and double check any information or assertions I make always. I don't like to have to guess, but when I am guessing, I make that clear. But I don't need to be right. I don't really understand why in person-to-person interaction being right is this paramount thing. I mean, if I'm wrong, then that would be a conversation that I learned from and can use that to grow further. And then I also never try to be too confident, because that's when you'll get misinformation getting spread. Now, the problem with that is I think a lot of times I guess I should be more assertive, because I'm usually right and then the other person's usually wrong, but then I just don't push it because I don't, it doesn't, you can't even win. You can't get anywhere. And that's kind of the cycle that continues to happen with so many people that I talk to. And I just, again, I don't know. I guess my scope is just that far outside of the norm. I don't see any other way of describing it. At this point, I just think I'm still assuming that people are a lot better than they are. that's what I think. It just keeps happening where I still don't know if my baseline for a human is low enough yet. And again, I mean, maybe that sounds egotistical of me to say, but it's not. A lot of times when I talk about these things that I go through, it's not, I'm not happy, I'm not feeling good because I'm smart. It's just a lot of work. It's really just a lot of work. I mean, past a certain point, it's not helpful. It's not an easy life at all because it's isolating. It's lonely. I mean, I haven't really been too lonely recently, to be fair, but I just mean in the grand scheme of things, people don't relate to me. I don't know. And even if you're watching this video, you probably don't. It's just, I just don't understand, because I think the way, again, people see is very narrow and short-sighted. And so when you get into a disagreement with a person, they don't even understand basic ways of how human-to-human interactions work or should work. A lot of the emotional comprehension of the difference between an opinion and a fact it just seems like people don't understand that. Some things people mix up. There's some things people take a person's opinion and think it's a fact, or then take a fact and then just think it's an opinion. And to me, that's crazy, because I remember learning in elementary, like kindergarten, first grade or something, facts and opinions, and I just always comprehended that, objective and subjective. But I don't even think, do most people not really have a comprehension of that? I just don't know. I mean, maybe most people have a loose idea, but what I mean is in a person's day-to-day thoughts in life. I don't know that most people are ever having to deal with this facts versus opinion axis, because a lot of people in their day-to-day lives probably just go about their day and don't really think. It's all kind of autopilot, and I don't think there's much profound going on in terms of the conversations they may have, the things they may listen to on their phone, whether it's music or whatever kind of podcast they're listening to. It's probably not very deep, if I had to assume. And I'm trying right now to try to be concise about how I feel, because I know that's important, and the wording of these things are tricky when it comes to trying to articulate a feeling. It's something that really, out of anything I do, I have observed I mean, that's not even close, because especially if we talk about other people, when other people like describe a feeling, it's minimal. It takes them a long time. The verbiage, the verbosity, it's very minimal, and it takes them a while. But for me, I know this may sound a little messy, and that's fair. You know, I'm driving. I'm trying to talk about a deeper feeling that I feel, and so there's some credit that needs to be given to that. But in general, it's like the amount and the speed with which I can articulate a feeling is pretty strong. And like I said, I think in the future you could have, we're going to communicate through an AI as a filter, so that people's feelings will just, the computer will interpret it and then spit it out in a language that will be sent to the other person's AI, which will interpret it and then spit it into a way they can understand. You see what I'm saying? I think it's a cool concept, although for me personally, I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I do have this manual skill, and then that AI will make it easier for me to communicate with others, but it kind of diminishes the value, maybe. Because, like, essentially what it would do is, if, let's say you're a professor and you have a certain way of speaking that is higher level, but you want to explain a concept to a child. So you as a professor would say your piece, what you want to say, all that stuff. And then it would just go into your AI, which would then be sent to the child's AI, and it would do some kind of calculus, because it would have your brain scan and the child's brain scan, and it would know the perfect way to word it for perfect comprehension from the child. And so you could have anybody talk to anybody, and it actually totally nullifies and voids any disagreements, any of the issues with hyper-individuality that we've seen, because everybody will just be able to cater to everybody with no effort. And so in a way that's exciting, because it probably would open up doors for me, because maybe the AI could shift my speech to a level that more people would be able to understand, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, it would lose some of the magic or pizzazz that is relevant to what I'm doing. There would be something lost, right? Because the words I say are not, well, I guess it could be saved, so maybe there's still a way for the original statement to stay intact. I guess it's possible. Sorry, just driving stuff, seeing cars doing dumb things. Yeah, I guess it could remain intact, right? That's always a possibility. It's just mainly about that's the main thing I'm concerned about. But even still, it kind of reduces the value of a lot of these skills, which is why I do feel like for a lot of ways my brain is particularly good at handling AI, and AI has been a very unlocking and even therapeutic thing for me, because it's allowing me to learn at a rate with which I can really get into, because a lot of times just regular learning was a little bit too slow, and in some ways I'm a perfect fit, but in other ways I worry, because I wonder if a lot of these skills or things that I do are just going to become diminished because anybody's going to be able to do them. I'm not sure though, and that's why I don't know if my tone has been noticeably changed or not, but there was a time where I was so optimistic. I was so optimistic about all the AI stuff, but now there's more of a caution. I'm feeling more of a caution towards it, because I still think there's a lot we don't know. But I guess thinking about it now, there really shouldn't be much for me to be afraid of, at least for myself. I probably shouldn't, because I probably will just benefit from the new society. But a part of me still worries. A part of me is still worried about the new society. And if I don't know, if I don't have enough money yet, which I would have if I had been working since I was younger. But, my net worth is not anything high, but I don't know if that's going to matter in the future or not. I just kind of think it would, but I guess it is what it is. I don't know. And I can't tell if I'm doing that usual thing where I'm just underestimating and undercutting myself as usual, but I guess that's the main thing I'm worried about. Is AI has helped me, and it's furthered my intelligence in a lot of ways, because the rate with which I'm able to research things is much faster. I already was very good at just using Google, but now it's so much more vast, the things you can learn and the speed with which you can. And the truth is, most people aren't, from my understanding, most people aren't even doing that. A lot of people, at least what GPT estimated percentile-wise, based on what I was asking it, it was saying that it's it's probably a majority of people just use AI for fun or for nonsensical things. That's a majority. And so for most people, I guess I could make the argument it's probably made their lives worse. And the same can really be said for a lot of these technological advancements. And I've said this has been something I've really run home a lot, but it will not bring about equality. It will actually bring about less equality. But it's a different type, because it's very mental. People who are mentally quick or mentally sharp get a huge boost as a result of this technology. And then people previously who may have been ahead because of their social prowess or brute force, that's not really that important anymore. It still may be for a short period of time, but we're going to be in a very technical period coming up. And so proper action is not the most paramount predictor of success. It's proper thought. It's a proper mind, because things are very complex and intricate. They're not simple or straightforward like they used to be. A lot of brute forcing it isn't really going to work anymore. It's about complexities. These are just some of my predictions, but I guess back to what I was trying to articulate and how it feels is that I think I've said this concept before. Even if I'm a 10 out of 10 speaker, if somebody's mind is only a 4 out of 10, it just doesn't matter. If they have a certain thought or opinion in their head, I could explain it in the best way possible, and it just won't matter, because they can't even appreciate what's there. This is probably one of the most scary traits of humans that I've run into and experienced, or not humans, but of life. It's not necessarily a human issue. I think it is, but it's just with all things in life. Although, no, I guess it is human. You could do really good things and be a really good person and create really good art. And it just doesn't really matter if it's not appreciated, if it's not marketed properly. Nobody's ever going to know that it even happened. And I think that is a scary thought for me. And it always has been. It's a sad, scary thought, the amount of things that go unnoticed. And there's just such a lack of recognition too. And it goes back to what I said. You know, I have a very strong appreciation for touch, for feeling high quality materials. I'm just very in tune with my fingers, and all that stuff matters to me. And I've never really seen it matter that much to most people. Some people, it does, don't get me wrong, and maybe it's more brief. You know, they might just feel something here and there, and oh, that's good, or oh, that's bad. But I never noticed people feeling everything or noticing things. And it's just frustrating. It's very frustrating for me as someone who, I don't know, I just feel like I notice things and then other people just don't even see them or don't even appreciate them. And some of this stuff, I guess, is opinion, but some of it is tangible or factual. You know, where it does matter when it comes down to things that are objective. Noticing the quality of a food or quality of a car can be very consequential in your satisfaction in life. Because people who are not in tune with their senses can't see. And then they make poor choices as a result of that. So there's definitely an advantageous nature to it. But it's an isolating advantage. It's just not that fun or that clear. And I think that's what gets me the most. I just wonder. I just wonder about these things, you know, and I guess other people just don't have these conversations or thoughts with themselves. Some people do. I mean, there's some people who have talked to me and, oh yeah, that's like a interesting point, or oh, I might have thought that before. But I guess there's also a difference between your ability to execute thoughts into your life. So I think plenty of people think things, but they don't make any changes in their actual lifestyle, in their way of being. Lots of humans may be aware of what they should do, but they can't take that and put it into something tangible. And that is a huge problem. Obviously, I shouldn't have to explain why. But most humans, I still don't think, know the shoulds. That's the problem. Most people don't know what they should do. And you had a society where society was able to clearly tell you what to do for a bit. or you just did what your parents did. There wasn't much thought to it, and now it is open-ended and people don't know what to do. Especially now, and I think a part of that is just due to the mediums that have changed. So if you went from long-form TV shows and all that, and that's kind of what the social and cultural attitudes, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, people, I did think, have a better grasp of what they wanted to do because they had time to think about it. My generation had such minimal expectations put on them, and a lot of us were basically deluded in fantasy, and it was almost encouraged, where there was not really an outlet to not be fictitious about things, if that makes sense. The rate that we had to grow up was slow and low. And so I think adulthood hits us more like a smack in the face, whereas, again, in the golden age, a lot of those things were already present and apparent. You didn't need to train someone to be an adult, and at that point you would have had good social experience from friends or school, and you may have watched TV, but a lot of TV was still long-form concepts and ideas that you could look at and figure out what you wanted. Now it's like, if people are just looking through TikToks and quick posts on the internet or quick internet posts, you're seeing so many different ideas, but none of them are very comprehensive. And so you have way too much to pick from, and you don't even know what the thing is. And then you try this and you realize you don't like it, and you try that and you realize you don't like it. I mean, how are we that dead already? Isn't that scary? In a lot of ways, it's already over. And that's why I think the cost of living crisis is reflective of that. I think the elites see something necessary to cleanse. And I've talked about this before and how it's a difficult conversation to have, but I understand it. As much as I may not entirely agree with the severity of the outcome, it's comprehensible to me. Because so many humans are not ready for the next step, and that's obviously a problem. Or maybe it isn't a problem. Really depends on your perspective about it. But I think that's why we see what we're seeing. I've said that repeatedly. There is a filtering that will have to occur. And I don't even know what side I'm going to be on. I mean, I'm trying, but I still don't know if I was too late or not able to cultivate hobbies quick enough. I obviously have this hobby, which, yes, I do consider speaking a hobby with the amount that I do it and the consistency and whatnot, and how I did all the research into the mic, and I have the setup the right way and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a hobby, but I wonder if it was too late I worry about that. Again, when it comes to my net worth, I wonder if it was too late. Because I could have been in a very good position right now if I had been working since I was 14. I mean, I gotta stop thinking about that, though. It's just limiting. You know, like, I have to think about what's next. I can't keep doing that. It's always what I do. I just cannot get over that my life would be better. But I understand. I don't know that a lot of people do, which is why, you know, I'm sure that's how the elites morally justify what they're doing, because it's just, I don't know, they just probably figure, why not? If they can get away with it, they're not going to be held accountable. We could vote differently and get politically involved and then put a stop to a lot of this stuff, but we know there's just too much limitation in human psychology for that. So there's not really anything that can be done. There's just not. So interesting. It's all very interesting. But I think that's a good point, is possessiveness of information, and how I guess I'm just not very possessive of information. I think information is I always just wanted to get it out there, you know? Whenever I learned anything or said anything, but now it's I'm realizing people are very territorial of things and possessive of this and that. More so than I think I assumed or understood in just my assumptions about how people operated. Yeah, I don't know. This episode, I don't know what my intention really was. I don't know what I was really trying to get at, I suppose. You know? It's weird to think about. I just started trying to talk and in a pretty neutral way explain where I'm at, but it's a little tricky to do that. It's not the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, there's so many things that I think the care differential. I obviously talk about driving a lot and how the only person I know who drives properly, and it's just weird, you know, how, I mean, why did I think of these things? Why do I think and care about them? And other people just don't. Why does that happen? Is there a rhyme or reason to it? But I just don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to figure out or think. It's like there's not much more. Well, I guess there's always more that you could do, you know? I guess, yeah, everybody could be better. I don't think it makes sense to think that I shouldn't be better. Because I'm sure I'm not at my peak or my prime or whatever. It's, just not the case. I don't know. This was a weird episode. I don't I don't even know if what I said really came across like anything coherent or if it means anything, but maybe that's fine. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's like a poetic nature to words as well, where even some rambles, like, they don't have to make sense. It's or something like that. I'm not really sure, how to think about it. I'm just not really sure. Sorry, something was weird with the way I usually park, and so I'm like all thrown off, and yeah, I've been thinking about potentially parking a different way, honestly. I guess just because of how much I'm pushing it. I don't even know what the deal is with it, honestly. But, oh, sorry, I'm not even explaining. Like, pushing it in terms of time. Like, I'm coming here as early as I am. But I was thinking about parking somewhere else because I think I may be able to at this point. I don't know that my tried and true parking space is like the best I could do. So I may change the parking space. Which would be very interesting, would it not? Because I've parked in the same spot this whole time, and I haven't changed that. I have not. I've just always parked in the same spot. So it's weird because I like that. I like that it's always been the same spot. But I guess I think there really could be a better idea now. And I haven't even thought about it because since I come earlier, there's other options that I haven't considered. You know? So it's just weird. Well, I don't know. Do we think it's a wrap, guys? Yeah, I think it's a wrap. All right. It's been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see ya, schla.